Hey guys, Reaper the Rage here, having a fantastic day, and welcome to another Reaper Rant. This one is going to be about the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith. If you guys don't know what the Book of Mormon is, or who Joseph Smith is, well, it's going to be kind of educational for both of us. And let me start by saying, I believe Joseph Smith was a crazy, stupid asshole who used religion to prey on young girls. That's where I'm gonna say my piece right there. That's what I think about it, and you're gonna see some of the facts from the actual websites that support the Book of Mormon and back Joseph Smith, and in their actual rhetoric they say this, in the actual history written by the church that he established. So this is not an opinion, this is not some slam page that's against him. This is from the horse's mouth. So basically, the first time I heard about Joseph Smith was, of course, in a South Park episode. They were doing a satire about the Book of Mormon. So this Mormon family moved into South Park, and then Stan, the fuck was his name? Marsh. That's it. Marsh was his last name. I know his name is Stanley, but yeah. So Stanley Marsh goes over to the Mormons to go hang out with them because they're, they seem like alright people, and then they tell him about the Book of Mormon, right? And it's just basically showcasing how dumb the religion is, basically how dumb, at least not the religion itself, but maybe the foundings of it were, and how people just got suckered into what's obviously borderline cult. I mean, it's almost as bad as the Church of Scientology, which South Park did another episode on, but we'll talk about that one at a later date. If you're a secular individual like me, you really don't put too much, ironically, you don't put too much faith in religion, because it doesn't really seem to go anywhere, and it's all kind of up in the air. There's really no things you can answer about it. There's really no scientific, ontological, philosophical questions you can answer about it. You can ask the question, sure, but you can never really answer them. There's no real solid evidence to support, there being a being, whatever. And I'm not saying people can't have their religion. People can have their religion. That's completely fine with me. Just don't try and push it on other people. Don't put it in schools. Don't put it in public. Basically, I'm highly against organized religion. I mean, if you guys want to get together and have a little Bible group, that's one thing. But having, churches in Vatican, oh god, the Vatican pisses me off. That is, come on, there's a guy in a balcony, and at any time of the day, he can head out there and wave his magic Pope hand, and then everybody just bows because there are. No, that's not, what 12,000 years of human civilization have led to, okay? There's been so much in human history to lead us up to this point, and now we're still going to be chained down by religion. But that slaying religion is a whole different monster. Today we're talking about the Book of Mormon, and the Book of Mormon was written by a man named Joseph Smith. I'm reading this directly off of the website, so I've got my facts straight. You guys can check it out. Link will be in the description. This is LDS.org, the Church of Jesus of Latter-day Saints. The reason I'm using this one and not Mormon.org, which is the more official one, is because it messes up on my computer and it lags out and it's just weird and I can't read it properly. So here we have the Book of Mormon translation. Now, the Book of Mormon was sort of like a New Testament type thing, where Joseph Smith wanted to restore the church and take everybody back to their, godly statuses and whatnot, and try and be more closer to God and listen to his word and the usual religious bullshit. So how he translated the plates is what I kind of find skeptical about the religion. I find any religion skeptical, but this one takes the cake. Okay, so the Book of Mormon's translation. Joseph Smith said that the Book of Mormon was the most correct of any book on earth and the keystone of our religion, and a man would get nearer to God by abiding by its precepts than by any other book. Okay, so classic scripture, nothing crazy so far. That's usually what every religion tells you. Follow the teachings and, you will be saved. That's usually what they say. Okay, so how did he do it? Let's see here. Joseph Smith describes other guys. So Joseph Smith reported that on the evening of September 21st, 1823, while he prayed in the upper room of his parents' small log home in Palmyra, New York, an angel, who called itself Moroni, appeared and told Joseph Smith that God had work for you to do. He informed Joseph that there was a book deposited, written upon gold plates, giving an account of the former inhabitants of this continent, and the source from whence they sprang. The book could be found in a hill not far from the Smith family farm. This was no ordinary history, for it contained the fullness of the everlasting gospel as delivered by the Savior. Okay, so let's break down the crazy right here. First off, angels don't fucking exist. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. Angels don't exist. It's the equivalent of saying mermaids exist, okay? It'd be cool if they did, but, you know, they don't, okay? So that's strike number one. Strike number two is, okay, so let's say the angel is real, right? Let's get a little Rogerian strategy. Let's say the angel's real, and he appears to him. He calls himself Moroni. Moroni. M-O-R-O-I-N-E. Or I. Moroni. Really? Not Gabriel, not Michael, not, you know, Paul, Peter, and any other kind of, you know, religious... No. Moroni. Moroni. Sounds like baloney, but okay. So, you know, angel comes down, tells him God has worked for him, okay. And conveniently enough, this book written on gold plates was found not far from the Smith family farm. So what are the odds that the Smith family farm would be pretty close to where the plates were? This dire history of the original inhabitants of the continent, which I'm assuming are Native Americans. So this epic about, you know, the apparently Jesus visiting, you know, the Americas and before the white man came and this, that, and the other. So this very, very important book is buried under a hill near Smith's home, and God sent the angel to Smith. Not anybody else. No. None of the people that came before Smith, but no. Smith. Okay, well, let's go with that. Let's see where this goes. So the angel told Joseph Smith to translate the book from the ancient language it was written in. Okay, so ancient language, so we're thinking like Hebrew or something. And, you know, so it's going to be kind of hard to convert. So the young man, however, had very little formal education and was incapable of writing a book on his own. So that should be red flag number one. Okay, that should be the first, oh, I don't know, guys, maybe, I don't know. So, you know, maybe we shouldn't listen to this guy. Seems how he didn't have he had little formal education. He wasn't even able to write his own book. This is not me. This is the actual church saying this. This is the Church of Latter-day Saints claiming this history. I'm not making this shit up. If you want to look for it, the link will be in the description. It's all here. So, he was incapable of writing a book, little formal education, and he couldn't even translate the ancient book from, you know, the unknown language. And in the Book of Mormon, they refer to it as Reformed Egyptian. Joseph's wife, Emma, insisted that at the time of translation, Joseph could neither write nor dictate a coherent and well-worded letter, let alone dictate a book. Okay, so that's like strike one for the possibility that it was true. Because the man can't possibly, I mean, and proprietors of the religion on the other side would say, oh no, that's what makes it godly, that's what makes it so true, that's what proves it's true, because he couldn't do this, so how can he do it? Well, dumbass, he's playing you. That's how, and you know, so let's continue on, shall we? Let's continue on with the history lesson. So Joseph received the plates in September of 1827, and the following spring in Harmony, Pennsylvania, began translating. Emma and his friend Martin Harris served as his scribes. Okay, so the resulting English transcription was known as the Book of Lehi, and referred to by Joseph Smith as written on 116 pages, was subsequently lost or stolen. As a result, Joseph Smith was rebuked by the Lord and lost the ability to translate for a short time. So, let's see, September 1827, let's see, when did he find the plates? So he prayed in his room and he was told to go get the plates in 1823, so he went and he found the plates, and then he started translating. Okay, he didn't receive the plates until 5 years later. So 5 years later, in exactly the same month, go figure, so September to the 21st, 1823, so he receives the plates in September of 1827, interesting timeline there, and then, the following spring, he starts translating, so spring of 1828. So 5 years after the angel tasks him with this very important work, now he gets around to it. I mean, the ultimate procrastinator here. So it was known as the Book of Lehi. Okay, not uncommon in religion to find people, you know, writing these religious texts. Okay, that's fair enough. And then, you know, Martin Harris and his wife Emma, you know, Emma is the wife of Joseph Smith, not Martin Harris. So the resulting English transcription was known as the Book of Lehi, referred to 116 pages. So this guy writes 116 pages of this extremely important gospel. Okay, mind you, this is like the very, very important gospel that God has told Joseph Smith he has to write. Actually, the angel told him, because God sent the angel, right? So this is extremely important, but it somehow gets stolen or lost. And then he doesn't and he can't translate again until, let's see, Joseph began translating again in 1829. So it takes him another year to gain the ability. So he lost God's favor. He was rebuked by the Lord and lost the ability to translate, conveniently enough. Okay, so almost all the present Book of Mormon text was translated during a 3-month period between April and June of that year. Okay, so, most of the Book of Mormon that we read today was, made between April, and I say made, not translated, because this shit's made up, obviously. So between April and June of that year, his chief scribe during these months was Oliver Cowdery, a school teacher from Vermont who learned about the Book of Mormon, blah, 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 blah. So basically, yeah, called by God's vision. So Cowdery traveled to Harmony to meet Joseph Smith and investigate further. So not only is Joseph Smith making this shit up, this other guy claims that, he was called by God in a vision. Yeah, no, he heard about Joseph Smith. He said, I want in on this scheme. This is gonna make us loads of money. We can do whatever we want. We're gonna be leaders of church. So, of his experience as a scribe, Cowdery wrote, "These were days never to be forgotten, to sit under the sound of a voice dictated by the inspiration of heaven." Alright, buddy. Too bad they didn't have medication back then, because he should have been on some. The manuscript that Joseph Smith dictated to Oliver Cowdery and others is known today as the original manuscript, about 28% of which still survives. So let's get this straight. This extremely important text, right? He translates it in a 3-month period. Only 28% of it survives today in the form of the Book of Mormon. 28%. If it's that important, why isn't 100% of it in there? Or even 50? Like, you're telling me half didn't even make it through? So the manuscript corroborates Joseph Smith's statements that the manuscript was written within a short time frame and that it was dictated for another language. Okay. So, for example, it includes errors that suggest the scribe heard words incorrectly rather than misread words copied from another manuscript. Okay, so, if they're making this up, they're making it up twice. They're not just, copy and pasting the same thing. In addition, grammatical constructions, suggesting that the base language translated was not English. For all we know, it could have been German, and he didn't know German. That could have been the ancient language that, nobody knew. And it seems that Joseph Smith was the one translating the plates. So, he hasn't really talked to anybody. Alright, so, unlike most dictated drafts, the original manuscript was considered by Joseph Smith to be, in substance, a final product. To assist in the publication of the book, Oliver Cowdery, handwritten copy. The typesetter later inserted punctuation marks when he prepared for the with the exception of punctuation. Okay, so basically, after the translation in that 3-month period in 1829, he then sends that to press. No alterations, no rewording to make it sound better, no fixes and grammatical issues. No, just sends it straight to press. Okay. So we've covered that he pretty much obviously has made this up. I mean, and maybe there's still a grain of truth in there. Maybe he did translate these plates. Maybe they were in some language he didn't understand and he thought it was some kind of ancient language. Okay, so maybe. Maybe he was just, taking a walk in the woods and he found the plates, Possibly. So, let's see. How did he translate the plates? It says that he did, but it doesn't say what he used. So, here's the translation instruments, right? We go right into how he did it. So, many accounts of the Bible show that God transmitted revelations to his prophets in a variety of ways. Elijah learned that God spoke book, blah, blah, blah. We all know the stories about Paul and them, and the burning bush, and this, that, and the other. Okay. So, let's see. At other times, revelation came in the form of dreams, visions, or through sacred objects like the Urim and Thummim. I'm not making this shit up. So, there's a hyperlink here. I'm clicking on it. So, the guide to the scriptures. Urim and Thummim. Instruments prepared by God to assist man in obtaining revelation and in translating languages. In the Hebrew language, the words mean lights and perfections. The Urim and Thummim consist of 2 stones set in silver bows and sometimes used with a breastplate. This earth will become a great Urim and Thummim in its sanctified and immortal state. And this, that, and the other from the Book of Mormon. Thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and Thummim to him that uncovereth. Yeah, so basically, these were just a bunch of stones. There's a bunch of just rocks, basically. So, You had power given unto you to translate by the means of the Urim and Thummim. The 3 witnesses were to see the Urim and Thummim, which were given to the brother of Jared. Okay, so this is not new. He didn't make up Urim and Thummim, or he may have. I'm not sure, but it seems that there's a history to that some prophets in actual religious history, like Christianity, Judeo-Christians and Muslims, they had these things to translate God's word and bring about a revelation. Okay, so that's kind of true. All right, there's that grain of truth. So like every great work of fiction, there's always a grain of truth. So let's see. Joseph Smith stands out among God's prophets because he was called to render into his own language an entire volume of scripture amounting to more than 500 printed pages. Let's see. So how do you do it? For this monumental task, God prepared additional practical help in the form of physical instruments. So he couldn't have just told him. No. So it wasn't like God could take 5 minutes or send an angel. Like, he sent the angel to tell him, but he couldn't send the angel to sit on his shoulder and be like, yo, dude, yeah. Okay, that goes there. Yep. Okay. Oh, and that thing about the shoe. Yeah, write that in. He didn't have, like, somebody dictating it to him when he could have just written it his damn self, right? Or God could have picked a writer of the day to do this. He could have picked, like, who are the writers of the 1800s? Oh, no, that would have been afterwards, because Moby Dick, I was going to say the guy that wrote Moby Dick, but, that wasn't really afterwards. But, yeah, he could have picked a writer, a well-known writer of the day, who was good with words to put this into words, right? And just have his angel tell him the whole story. But no. He's going to give him these physical instruments to translate ancient text, when God could have just translated it for him and then told him. But, okay, let's keep going. Joseph Smith and his scribes wrote of 2 instruments used in translating the Book of Mormon, according to witnesses of the translation. So people were watching him translate this. So, maybe they saw how he did it. Okay, so maybe it could be replicated. So when Joseph looked into the instruments, the words of Scripture appeared in English. One instrument, called the Book of Mormon, the Interpreters, is better known to Latter-day Saints today as the Urim and Thummim, which we just covered. Okay, so Joseph found the Interpreters buried in the hill with the plates. Convenient! That, the translator thing. Okay. Those who saw the Interpreters described them as a clear pair of stones bound together with a metal rim. Okay, so clear pair of stones with a metal rim. Oh, okay, so what do we know about a rim? A rim is a circular shape, clear stone. Could it be a fucking monocle? Could it have been his monocle that he threw in the dirt, scuffed it up real good to make it look old? Because if we remember, we go back up to the top here. So he's told about the plates on September 21st of 1823. Okay? He doesn't go get the plates until 1827. So it doesn't even translate them until the following spring. So that's 5 years. But that's all. That's like 4.5, 5 years, something like that. So it's a good amount of time. So if he was told about these plates, or if he, figured out how to make these plates, which I think he did, he just made these things up to make it look good, then he takes a monocle, an old monocle, or a half of a freaking, or took a pair of glasses and busted them in half, and then scuffed them up real good to make them look like old, and let them rust, and let them get decayed over the next few years. Not enough, and conveniently, it was just enough years to let them look messed up, but not enough for them to be deteriorated completely. So he looks into them. So that's where I think the freaking stones come from. But let's keep going, shall we? Let's keep going with this idiocracy. So Joseph found the Interpreters buried with it, so conveniently. Those who saw the Interpreters described them as clear stones. We read that. Alright, so the Book of Mormon referred to this instrument, together with its breastplate, which I'm assuming are the gold plates, as a device, kept and preserved by the hand of the Lord, handed down from generation to generation for the purpose of interpreting languages. And then was handed to Joseph Smith after he dug it out of the ground. So it wasn't exactly handed down. So the other instrument, which Joseph discovered in the ground years before he retrieved the gold plate. So he didn't even have the plates yet. No. He found, what he found was a small oval stone known as a seer stone. Okay? It's referred to as a seer stone. So he found this. Let's see. A young man during the 1820s, Joseph Smith, like others in his days, used a seer stone to look for lost objects and buried treasure. As Joseph grew to understand his prophetic calling, he learned that he could use this stone for the higher purpose of translating scripture. So, a seer stone was apparently to help people find lost things. Some kind of old wives' tale that you use the seers, if you look through the seer stone, you find what you're looking for. Okay. So, apparently for convenience, Joseph often translated with the single seer stone rather than the two stones bound together to form the interpreter. So, you know, we have these things, you know, these very important things that are used for translation. But then, he doesn't even go over them. Like, he doesn't even really use them that much. So he's just going to use the one seer stone. I think that's okay. The seer stone that he already had before he found the place. Alright, so, okay. Right. Anybody else seeing a problem with that? No, just me? Alright. Moving on. Two instruments, the interpreters, the seer stone, were apparently interchangeable and worked in much the same way, such that in the course of time, Joseph Smith and his associates often used the term Urim and Thummim to refer to the single stone as well as the interpreter. So, he didn't really even use the real Urim and Thummim, which is the two stones bound together. No. He mainly used the seer stone. He mainly just used a rock. He literally used an opal rock. No, not opal, sorry, my bad again. I can't read today. It was a small oval stone. So he basically found a smooth little stone in the river and then said, hey, I could totally trick people with this. How do people buy this? How? Jesus, moving on. So, in ancient times, Israelite priests used the Urim and Thummim. Yeah, we get that. We know that. Okay, so let's move on to the mechanics of translation. You guys can read the rest of the text, but I don't want to waste any more of your time with the bullshit that it is. So, let's move on to the mechanics of the translation. So, how exactly did the translations take place? So, we know Joseph Smith translated it. We know that what he used to translate it. Now, how exactly did he do it? So, in the preface to the 1830 edition of the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith wrote, I would inform you that I translated the book by the gift and power of God. Okay. When pressed for specifics about the process, Joseph repeated on several occasions that it had been done by the gift and the power of God. So that's clue number 2 as to why the Book of Mormon is a bunch of bullshit. Because, as we know today, if you look at anything political, if you watch anything on the news political, I mean, definitely like involving Trump or Hillary or even Sanders, whatever, if you press someone for information and they can't give you an answer, they keep, you know, going off on a different answer. Trump's great about this. He always just scapegoats and goes to a different question and kind of talks in circles. So, if you talk in circles, then people really won't notice that you're full of shit. And once added, it was not intended to tell the world all the particulars of the coming forth of the Book of Mormon. So, conveniently, God never wanted him to tell anybody how he did it. No, he's the great Houdini of religion, you know. How did he do that? Oh my god. Is anyone else seeing a problem with this? I mean, come on. So, nevertheless, the scribes and others who observed the translation left numerous accounts that give insight into the process. Okay, so there were people watching him do this. It's not like he was in a room alone making shit up as he went. No, there were other people in the room. Okay, so that's fair enough. That's some decent, reporting. So you got some witnesses, you got some people watching. You got an audience. Okay, so surely, I mean, if you have an audience, you must be doing something that wows them, right? You must be doing something out in the open where they can see how you do it. So some accounts indicate that Joseph studied the characters on the plates. Most of the accounts speak of Joseph's use of the Urim and Thummim, either the interpreters or the seer stone, and many accounts refer to his use of a single stone. According to these accounts, Joseph placed either the interpreters or the seer stone in a hat, pressed his face into the hat to block out extraneous light, and read aloud the English words that appeared on the instrument. The process as described brings to mind a passage from the Book of Mormon that speaks of God preparing a stone which shall shine forth in darkness unto light. So, it looked like we had a ray of hope there. It looked like maybe people actually saw how he did it. Maybe somebody else could do it, right? It wasn't just like a prophet thing. Maybe it wasn't specific to Joseph Smith. Nope. There was no science to this. There was no actual technique. The man took a bunch of rocks, put them in a hat, put his face in the hat, and then said, and somebody took that as gospel. I mean, let's do this. Thought experiment, shall we? Here I have a hat. Okay, and let's see, what can I use as a seer stone? Let's see, what's a really kind of religious thing we could use here? Let's just say, oh, here we go. On this pad, here we go. So, this is a pad. This is a blank pad, right? It looks blank, but God has told me that there are words on this, right? And I am to see them. Okay, it's too light in here. Here, I'll put it in the hat, and then, how, and, oh, God also said that I have to that in order to see it, I had to put this in the hat too. Right, no, it's not a nickel, it's a seer stone. Yeah, there you go, seer stone. It's, Urim and Thummim, and a bitty boop. And God said, fuck everybody else who's not a Mormon. We're right, you're wrong. Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? I can't even continue reading this. This has lost all credibility. And what's worse is, South Park depicts this perfectly. They literally made an entire episode about this, and if you want to look it up, I advise you look it up. They actually did this shot-for-shot remake of this, and actually animated this entire sequence. Him losing him losing the original manuscript, him having to dictate it to, Cowdrey, him putting his face in the hat. They did all of that. I mean, it's sad when a freaking cartoon can get it right about your religion, and you really can't argue against it. Okay, so where were we? I really can't read this anymore. I feel like I'm losing brain cells reading this. So the scribes who assisted with the translation unquestionably believed that Joseph translated by divine power. Joseph's wife Emma explained that she frequently wrote day after day at a small table in their house. She described Joseph sitting with his face buried in his hat with the stone in it, dictating hour after hour. This might also be where some of the grammatical errors came in when they recorded it, because if his face was stuffed in a hat, it might muffle some of the words. So that might be some of the grammatical errors that were in the final text. So sitting with his face buried in a hat, dictating hour after hour, so let's see, often lay on the table without any attempt at concealment, wrapped in a small linen tablecloth. Okay, so according to him, the plates, these golden, fantastical plates, often lay on the table without any attempt at concealment, wrapped in a small linen tablecloth. When asked if Joseph dictated from the Bible or from a manuscript he had prepared earlier, Emma flatly denied those possibilities. He had neither manuscript nor book to read from. And we're taking this all on the faith of what? His wife? Where we're just, following the word of his wife. Right. Can we remember the 1800s were a time when the woman would submit to the man, and if she didn't, she was a whore? This was that time period. So let's see. And Emma told her son, Joseph Smith III, the Book of Mormon is of divine authenticity. I have not the slightest doubt of it. I am satisfied that no man could have dictated the writing of the manuscript unless he was inspired. For when acting as a scribe, your father would dictate to me hour after hour, and when returning after meals or after interpretations, he would at once begin where he had left off without either seeing the manuscript or having any portion of it read to him. Right. Okay. Right. So, keep moving on here. So this is a bunch of stuff. Let's see. The principal scribe, Oliver Cowdery, testified under oath in 1831 that Joseph Smith found with the plates from which he translated the book 2 transparent stones resembling glass set in silver bows. That by looking through these, he was able to read in English. In the fall of 1830, Cowdery visited Union Village, Ohio, and spoke about the translation. Soon thereafter, a village resident reported that the translation was accomplished by means of blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is basically just corroborating stories. This is basically just a bunch of people, attesting to it. Yeah, he really did it. Yeah, this is true. So here is the conclusion. Joseph Smith consistently testified that he translated the Book of Mormon by the gift and power of God. His scribes shared that testimony. The angel who brought news of an ancient record on metal plates buried in a hillside, the divine instruments prepared especially for Joseph Smith to translate, were all part of what Joseph and his scribes viewed as the miracle of translation. When he sat down in 1832 to write his own history for the first time, he began by promising to include an account of his marvelous experience. The translation of the Book of Mormon was truly marvelous. The truth of the Book of Mormon and its divine source can be known today. God invites each of us to read the book, remember the mercies of the Lord, and ponder them in our hearts, and ask God, the eternal Father, in the name of Christ, if these things are not true. God promised that if ye shall ask with a sincere heart, with real intent, having faith in Christ, he will manifest the truth of it unto you, by the power of the Holy Ghost. Woo! Come on! And so they have resources in here, text and whatever, church history, and they have a very nice citation page. I have to give them this. Their sources cited is very extensive. Holy fucking shit. They've got a lot of supposed evidence in here. So they got a lot of articles and books to fall back on. So that was a legit reading of the Mormon website, of the Church of Latter-day Saints website. This is their history. This is what they believe. They really thought that Joseph Smith put a couple of rocks in a hat, stuffed his face into the hat, and then mumbled out a bunch of words that somehow formed the Book of Mormon. It couldn't have possibly been that he wrote all of this in his spare time. He could have, she said he couldn't compose a well-comprehended letter. That doesn't stop him from being a fiction writer. Many, many great writers in history are inspired by falsehood and imagination, okay? And, I mean, it's ridiculous. And let's see, what are some of the tenets of the Mormon Church? I mean, this is going on for an hour. I'm sorry, guys, but what are some of the things? Okay, so maybe he made it up. So maybe he isn't telling the truth. Okay, that's one thing, but, what if the church has done good? What if the church's principles are really good for people and people should really hear them? Do the ends justify the means? Okay, let's see this up. Principles of Mormon faith. Shall we see? Mormons not Christians. What is Mormonism? Actually, let's see. What do the Mormons believe? Mormons believe. Let's have an easy one here. Mormons believe about marriage. Mormon religion believes about marriage. So let's see here. Mormons not Christian. Marriage. Here we go. Marriage. The Encyclopedia of Mormonism. Okay. So this is legit. Again, made by Mormons. Let's see. Marriage, social, and behavioral perspectives. Marriage is more than a matter of social convention or individual need fulfillment in Latter-day Saints society and lifestyle. Central to exaltation, Marry the right person in the right place by the right authority. Keep the covenant made in connection with his holy and perfect order of matrimony. So, let's see here. What else do we have here? Catholic, a lot of history here. Marital information, sexual attitudes and behavior. Because of the importance of the marital bond and family relationships in both his life and the life to come, premarital or extramarital sexual relations are viewed as totally unacceptable. So they believe what everybody else believes, basically, is that, no sex before marriage. Nope, no, it's for procreation only, which is fair enough. The other religions believe that too, right? The Christians, the Catholics, they believe that too. Okay, fair enough. So let's see, what else do they have to say? Latter-day Saint attitudes about sex in marriage and frequency of sexual intercourse in marriage are similar to those in other faiths, although no data exists on the frequency of extramarital sexuality. Latter-day Saints in general are less approving of extramarital saint than other American populations. Okay, so they don't want you having sex before marriage, and they go even further than the other religions. Christians and Catholics are going like, whoa, buddy, are you fucking high? What's wrong with you? So they say that, even they even don't approve of like extramarital sex. So they really believe it's only for procreation. They are not getting their rocks off. They're not getting their seer stones off. You know what I mean? Marital formation, divorce, gender roles. This should be interesting. God established that fathers are to preside in the home. Fathers are to provide, to love, to teach, and to direct. But a mother's role is also God ordained. Mothers are to conceive, to bear, to nourish, to love, and to train. So declare the revelations. This statement, made by Church President Ezra Taft Benson, exemplifies the LDS, that's the Church of Latter-day Saints, teaching that men and women have different but closely intertwined and mutually supporting roles in the marital and family setting. Research bears out this distinctive emphasis. Mormon males and females tend to be more conservative and traditional in their gender role attitudes and behavior than members of other faiths. LDS males spend about the same amount of time performing household tasks as non-Mormon males, but Mormon females spend significantly more time at such tasks than non-Mormon females. LDS females spend more time performing not only traditional female tasks, but also traditional male tasks, outdoor tasks, paying bills, auto maintenance, than do female non-Mormons. These differences in both attitudes and behavior are not viewed negatively by either LDS men or women. They are as likely to be satisfied with their marriage and their roles in marriage as their non-Mormon counterparts. Okay, so there's that. But that's not exactly what I was looking for. So that's what they have to say about marriage, that they're each created equally and they have, their tasks to do, whatever. So, what do Mormons, let's see, Mormons think about gay marriage? Let's see what they have to say about gay marriage. I don't think it's going to be flattering. Let's see. Here we go, Mormon.org. So here's a very official one. What is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' attitude regarding homosexuality and same-sex marriage? In the Bible, so they're automatically starting off by quoting another religious text, not their own. Bible, Paul preached to the Romans that homosexuality was sinful. In Old Testament times, Moses included in his law that homosexual relations were against God's law, Leviticus 20:13. We all know this. Gordon B. Hinckley, prior president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, holy shit, that's a mouthful, issued the following statement about homosexuality. We believe that marriage between a man and a woman is ordained of God. We believe that marriage may be eternal through exercise of power of the everlasting parenthood in the house of the Lord, which is written by 12 modern apostles through inspiration. People inquire about our position on those who consider themselves so-called gays and lesbians. So they're like, oh, so-called gays. You're just straight. You don't know it yet. You're just choosing to be like that. So, classic religious text here. Let's see. My response is that we love them as sons and daughters of God. Okay, fair enough. They may have certain inclinations which are powerful and which may be difficult to control. Most people have inclinations of one kind or another at various times. So, they're basically saying it's a sin. They're basically saying it's a sickening urge that these people have, and they must cleanse themselves. They must be purified in the light of the Lord. Give me a fucking break with religion. Jesus Christ. If they do not act upon these inclinations, then they can go forward as do all other members of the church. If they violate the law of chastity and the moral standards of the church, then they are subject to the discipline of the church, just as others are. So it's fair, it's equal, right? If they do something against the church that normal people would do, they're punished the same. We want to help these people, to strengthen them, to assist them with their problems, and to help them with their difficulties. But we cannot stand idle if they indulge in immoral activity. If they try to uphold and defend and live in a so-called same-sex marriage situation, to permit such would be to make light of the very serious and sacred foundation of God's sanctioned marriage, its very purpose, the rearing of families. Okay, so that's their stance on gay marriage. They don't approve. They obviously don't like gays. That's what they're saying. They're saying it's abomination. If they want to come and get help, if they want to come and get cured of their gayness, we will help them. But if they want to marry their same sex, ew, we don't want those people in the church. Okay, so they're against gays. But, you know, that can't possibly contradict what they have to say about, you know, the well-known thing that I think many of you have already picked up on that I'm going to do in this episode. What do Mormons think about polygamy? Let's see, shall we? What do Mormons think about polygamy? I know it's changed in the past few years. They have gone a little bit against it, but that was only because of legal pressure from the federal government. So President Gordon B. Hinckley, same guy that wrote the other article, this is the Mormon.org, I will link these in the description, prior president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, made the following statement in 1998. So this is a bit dated, but he's probably going to quote his own actual rules. This church has nothing whatever to do with those practicing polygamy. They are not members of the church. If any of our members are found to be practicing plural marriage, they are excommunicated, the most serious penalty the church can impose. Not only are those so involved in direct violation of the civil law, they are in violation of the law of this church. Okay, so they're against polygamy. Fair enough. At various times, the Lord has commanded his people to practice plural marriage. For example, in the Book of Mormon, the Lord told the prophet Jacob, "For there shall not any man among you have save it be one wife, and the concubines he shall have none." So, supposedly, you know, they're no concubines, right? So, Joseph Smith, plural marriage. Shall we see? Let's see. Oh, back to LDS.org. Here we go. So, plural marriage in Kirtland and Nauvoo. Okay, I don't know what that has to do with Joseph Smith, but Latter-day Saints believe that monogamy, the marriage of one man and one woman, is the Lord's standing law of marriage. In biblical times, the Lord commanded some of his people to practice plural marriage, marriage of one man, more than one woman. Some early members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints also received and obeyed this commandment, given through God's prophets. So the religion has changed over the years. They've actually changed their doctrine. After receiving a revelation commanding him to practice plural marriage, Joseph Smith married multiple wives and introduced the practice to close associates. This principle was among the most challenging aspects of the Restoration for Joseph personally and other church members. Plural marriage testified faith and provoked controversy and opposition. Few Latter-day Saints initially welcomed the restoration of a biblical practice, but many later testified of powerful spiritual experiences that helped them overcome their hesitation and gave them courage to accept this practice. Couldn't be that sick voice in your head that just wanted to bang children, could it? No. No. The Lord commanded the adoption and later this cessation of plural marriage in latter days. He did not give the exact instructions on how to obey the commandment. Significant social and cultural changes often include misunderstandings and difficulties. So, God didn't tell you this. So even the Church of Latter-day Saints is denouncing this, saying, no, God didn't tell Joseph to do that. No, of course not. No. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Many details about the early practice of plural marriage are unknown. Plural marriage was introduced among the early saints incrementally, and participants were asked to keep their actions confidential. So they wanted to hide it. Not only, like, if you have the blessing of God to go forward and do this, why would you not exclaim it to the world? I am Mormon and I am, married to 6 women. God said I could. Oh, you don't believe me? Because my guy that made my faith, he said that he read some stuff out of a stone in a hat. Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, pot calling the kettle black seems how all the prophets in any history can't really be identified. But so let's see. The beginnings of plural marriage in the church. Blah blah blah. So let's see here. Joseph told associates that an angel appeared to him 3 times between 1834 and 1842. So this was after the church was established. Commanded him to proceed with plural marriage when he hesitated to move forward. During the 3rd and final appearance, the angel came with a drawn sword, threatening Joseph with destruction unless he went forward and obeyed the commandment fully. So Joseph Smith claimed that he was visited by angels 3 times in 10 years, and God sent these angels to get him to perform plural marriage. Okay. God sent these angels, okay, to tell him to have multiple wives, right? And the last one threatened him with violence. The last angel that came from the loving, all-knowing, all-powerful God who just has mercy upon his subjects came at him with a motherfucking knife. It literally says this. During the 3rd and final appearance, the angel came with a drawn sword, threatening Joseph with destruction. So basically, the first time, this is basically how it went down. I have come from the mighty kingdom of heaven, and God commands you to take multiple wives. Joseph Smith. Why? Because God said so. I don't want to. Let me get back to my boss on this. A few years later. Alright, Smith, I'm back. Yeah, he said you have to. I mean, what if I don't want to? You got to. I mean, he's God, right? You gotta listen to God. Well, I already did the plate thing, and people think I'm dumb for that. No, it's cool. The plate thing's gonna work itself out. Just do the plural marriage, will you? All right, can you? I don't know. Can you try and get him to back off a little bit? I mean, I'm not really a fan. All right, I'll talk to him. I'll see what I can do. And okay, all right, Joseph, sick of this shit. God said marry now. No, I don't wanna. Motherfucker, I said marry that bitch. Okay, that one, and that one on 5th Street. Okay, you need to have a lot of wives. Okay, man. Just don't kill me. All right, I'm good. That's literally what happened. That's literally exactly what happened. I mean, come on, people. I don't want to say I'm not trying to bash religion, because I'm highly bashing your religion, Mormons. I really am, because you people are fucking morons. Like, good God, you don't think you can get crazier than the Catholics, but here's the Mormons for you. I mean, Jesus, it's like the spectrum is, Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, they're all like up here. And then a little lower, you've got Mormons, and, you got Mormons, and maybe like some this, that, or the other, some Kool-Aid cults, maybe. But no, maybe mainly just Mormons are just a step down on the, intellectual meter. And then you get to the Church of Scientology. The legit fucking cult. But we will talk about that in the next Reaper Rant. This has gone on for 44 minutes. I'm going to use all of this. I'm using all of this. This is all gold. This is, this is great. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, do the usual. Like, subscribe, check out my streams, and I will see you guys in the next video. Reap the Rager, signing off.